We have Yoav Abramovich, which will join us in a second if he's not online, and he's the Joint Director General of the Rabinovich Foundation. Both funds supports Israeli films and co-production. And we have
Liar, sorry, can I interrupt you for a second, because we're checking the sound. Okay, it's okay. Sorry, we had a signal that there is bad sound from the audience.
Okay. Oh, now it's okay. We can hear it. Okay, so, and then we have Gili Gaon, the director of the documentary department at the Israeli Broadcast channel, which will tell us a little bit about the Israeli TV industry. And we have many good and established creators and producers here with us in the Zoom. I can recognize several of them, which we're going to introduce during the panel. Anna?
Yeah, so let me introduce our representatives, and I'm really happy that you are all here. We have here with us Leonid Demchenko, who is presenting the Ministry of Culture, and he is member of the state of Eurimages and head of documentaries and animation. Leonid, just wave at us. Where are you? Yeah. And here is Anton Malyshev, the head of Kinoprime Film Fund, which is the only at the moment private fund in Russia and very influent and effective financial institute already. We have several producers here, and also we have several producers watching the stream online. So if they would be interested, they can join us later when the panel will be open for all the audience and all the participants. And here among us is Igor Tolstunov, the head of Profit Film Company, and he will later present the project which is ready for co-production and looking for Israeli partners. And Evgenia Gindelis will also be presenting the same project. Evgenia Gindelis is very experienced in terms of co-production producer. He was several years ago head of Red Square Screenings Market, which was one of the first major steps towards co-production and cooperation from Russia to international world. Evgeny, show yourself. And we have also Alexander Kessel from company Sputnik Vostok Production and Inna Orkina from the same company. They will also present the project Cookies from Grandpa with the same goals and same content. And the last but not the least from producer side is Nadezhda Zainchkovskaya, who will be presenting the project of a Premiere Film Studio, which is connected with the huge media holding Gazprom Media. And she will present the film Nazi Hunters, and she will tell more about the company and the project. And maybe the main person right now, right here, is Evgenia Markova, who I hope will be talking next, because she's the one, thanks to whom we're all here, right after Kibayer's event and during Marché du Film. And I would ask Evgenia to say a few words and to present the current maybe results of Kibayer's event and the film industry as it is.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's a great pleasure for me personally, for Roskino, and for the whole Russian industry that we actually arranged this meeting. And it's definitely thanks to Lyra and Lisa. It was a big pleasure to meet them. And from my side, I want to thank them for being such an effective and result-oriented partners, because it was our initial idea that there is a lot of potential in collaboration between Russia and Israel. I'm still a strong believer in support of that. And when we came back from Berlinale, we discussed it with the Russian industry and all major Russian companies. And this is the same how the Russian industry is looking at that. Just to give you a little update on that, how the industry has been developing for your information, that basically it has been developing during the last 8 years most efficiently and successfully, thanks to investments of Film Fund and the Ministry of Culture. And Russian projects went on the global market approximately 4 or 5 years ago. So it's a pretty young industry on the global market. And we will show you a little video on that, how it developed in the last time, in the last years. But also to give you highlights, Russia is now developing and growing co-production, telling a little bit more about that, how we saw it in figures and numbers. Me and Anna Gudkova, when we were organizing this Kibaris event and made the special co-production section within it, we were expecting around 20 to 30 projects which will come to us for pitching and everything, but actually we received more than 90 projects. And this was a little bit surprising even for us as for event organizers, which actually gives an idea of that, how the market has grown and how well it has developed in the last years. Out of those 90, we selected actually 45 for the pitchings in all segments: films, series, animation, and doc. Actually, we know that Israel is very strong in developing stories, and we are all big supporters, and Russia loves Israeli projects also on which is shown on VOD platforms. And that's why we decided to organize this session and invited all the most prominent and relevant producers, because we believe there is a lot of potential in all segments, in creating films, in creating series, maybe in a way in animation if this segment is well enough developed. Regarding the Kibaris event, which we were doing, which we basically have just finished, it was the first time when the whole Russian industry, more than 120 companies, were represented. It was very successful for us because there was a big session for sellers, a big section of co-production, special animation day, and most probably we will repeat it also once again by the end of the year. So all of you, we will be happy to invite all of you to our Kibaris event digital edition in version 2. Meanwhile, we are happy to start this dialogue, and I would like to ask Igor to launch the video clip, which will give you a little bit more information on that, how the Russian market and Russian products have been developing in the last years. Igor?
Took some time, usually.
It requires some time.
Last year, 177 Russian films were released in theaters, and more than 3,500 hours of premiere series were produced within the country. Nationally made films are getting more and more popular in Russia. 56 million people watched them in 2019. Which basically means every second person in Russia. That is twice as many as 3 years ago. Over the last 4 years, the box office of Russian films has grown. It is now 1.5 times higher than before. But Russian films have also been gaining equal success abroad. The foreign box office for Russian films tripled from 2015 to 2019. The box office numbers keep growing due to the ever-growing number of projects and its ever-increasing quality. More and more Russian films are getting released abroad. The number of foreign releases has doubled within the last 5 years. While overall annual international sales of Russian audiovisual content growth was 20%. The number of viewers of Russian movies, series, and animation abroad has increased 4 times over the last 5 years alone. As for the geography of distribution, during last year, Russian films, series, and animation traveled in general to over 140 countries. But what kind of Russian movies do people like, and what are they watching across the globe? For many people, Russian cinema still means art house films above all. In the past decade, Andrei Zyagintsev, Kantemir Balagov, Andrei Konchalovsky, Alexander Sokurov, and other Russian film directors have received multiple awards at some of the biggest international festivals. Aside from the triumphant festivals awardees, there are also many more filmmakers in Russia who create high-end animation, fantasy, horrors, and many other genres of movies and series. It is obviously attracting foreign partners, both for acquisitions and for co-productions. Globalgate bought the right to create a remake of the horror film Bride. The Russian horror record holder for box office receipts across Latin America Netflix, the biggest streaming platform in the world, has acquired the rights to Territory, Method, Trotsky, Silver Spoon, and Road to Cavalry. And Better Than Us has become the first Russian project released under the Netflix Originals brand. Sleepers, Gogol, The Order, and Uppercut for Hitler series are now available on the major American streaming service Amazon Prime Video. The Kitchen series has successfully traveled as both a ready-made product and as a format adapted in more than 15 countries. And the flagship export product of Russian entertainment industry has been animation. Animation makes 1/3 of overall foreign box office for Russian films. From the top 20 foreign box office leaders from Russia, 6 animated movies are included in the list. The absolute leader in the number of admissions and highest grossing project is the animated film The Snow Queen. Its foreign box office surpasses its national one, almost 4 times over. The film has been sold to 55 countries. The Big Trip film has been sold to 79 countries. Masha and the Bear watched in 120 countries. Sheep and Wolves are broadcasted in 46 countries. Princess and the Dragon watched in 66 countries. Space Dogs watched in 160 countries. The Fixies and Kikoriki animated series are broadcasted in 90 countries, while Mash and the Bear is popular in more than 120. While the audience for the Kitty Cat series acquired by the Nick Jr. TV channel comprises over 100 million kids in over 150 countries. Such a quantum leap would hardly be possible without the state funding and state support in building partnerships with international companies. Major changes in the field started in 2013 when the Ministry of Culture began to support the industry systematically through the Cinema Fund of Russia. The ministry has supported many national films since then. In addition to that, the Russian state, via Ministry of Culture, has been supporting the expansion of Russian presence in the global market. Recently, the Russian Export Center and the Moscow Export Center joined with the Ministry of Culture. Their goal is to support and promote products of the Russian creative industries abroad. And that might certainly be of interest to you, as this includes financial support for dubbing and promotional campaigns abroad, patent granting and trademark registration, promotion of Russian projects under the Made in Russia brand, insurance for export contracts, all types of loan products for export contracts implementation, and direct loans to foreign buyers, as well as a simplified visa system for filmmakers. Plus, a system of cash rebates will be launched by the end of this year in Russia. Key Buyers event introduces leading worldwide distributors to the newest Russian content. We are happy to welcome you here.
Thank you. Thank you, Evgenia. And I think that now it's time to learn more about Israeli side. And I give the floor to Lior.
So thank you, Evgenia. The Israeli market is definitely much smaller than Russian market. And we produce around 30 feature films a year on average. The local box office will be around between 1 million to 1.5 million admissions relatively in a year. And we're going to go into these details by our panelists a little bit further on. I just want to go over the agenda so we can all be on the same flow, because we have a lot of subjects to cover. So at the beginning, we're going to go over a few of the discussion about the co-production. We'll learn a little bit about co-producing with Russian side and the Israeli side. we'll have the presentation of Kinoprime, a little bit an overview of the TV industry, and then we are going to present the Russian project. We have, everyone who's on Zoom, you can just send us the questions on the chat, and we'll try to raise and answer them and send them to the panelists. A few updates from the co-production agreement between Israel and Russia. The agreement arrived from the Russian Ministry of Culture, I think 10 days ago, to the Israeli side. It's now in the legal department of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, being reviewed. Yoav can also, which will be on the panel, can elaborate a little bit more about that as well. So hopefully we can sign the agreement in the next few months if everything goes okay. Yeah, so Anna, maybe we should start from your side about co-producing with Russia.
I just wanted to add that if you're in Zoom, you can send the questions here in Zoom, but if you're watching the stream, then you can write down under the stream link all your comments and questions, and they will be also passed to us and we will ask them. Then if we're starting from our side, I would ask to say a few words Leonid Demchenko to present the Minister of Culture and to tell us a little bit about the opportunities and the rules and regulations which are now covering co-production and working with international partners here.
Thank you, Anna. Hello to everybody, my dear colleagues from the Russian and from Israeli side. I'm happy to welcome you here on this conference. And just to continue and just to follow what Lyle just said regarding the agreement, because I also wanted to reflect on that. So yes, I'm happy that it finally, the corrected version finally reached the Israeli side, and I hope that will be signed by our both sides, because until now we used to make some co-production projects, but basically when some other European countries were included. So I was talking, I'm talking about the multinational co-production. So after having this agreement, we will be able to do the bilateral co-productions, and we actually are quite open to all the projects that may come to our table, and especially as you mentioned, Anna, that the stories and the scripts coming from Israeli side are also very strong and quite interesting. So I'm happy that we're, like, after some years we are almost there, regarding the agreement, and so the state support coming from the Ministry of Culture and from the other funds, and so it will allow us to make the official co-productions, including the possibility to gain the state support. So that's probably all that I would like to add shortly, because we have so many speakers in order to let them all say some words. Thank you.
Thank you, Leonid. And I think that if there will be any questions which should be addressed directly to you, then people will have an opportunity to ask them. Thank you very much. And then, Lior, do you want to ask something or to say something, or we're moving forward with the Russian speakers?
I think that from our end, it would be interesting to know or to give a small example of a co-production that recently been done and the structure of it, so that we can maybe have an understanding of how it would work if it was an Israeli-Russian co-production.
Leonid, can you answer this question? Or maybe any of producers who are here with us can answer this? Oh, Leonid, we can't hear you. Can you please turn on the sound? Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Now it's on. Okay, just briefly as well. Basically, when we're talking about the bilateral co-productions, so we were expecting to have the technical and creative cooperation between countries, and regarding the financial part, it's always the minimum of 20% and the maximum of 80% financing from one or the other side. So these projects, if the co-production is official, these projects will be eligible for the state support, which actually depends. Either it's a debut, so it's a bit less amount that can be provided from the Ministry of Culture, for example, and a bit more when it's a full, when it's a film made by an experienced director. So regarding this part, it can be also partly financed by the state and partly by the private investors or some other source of finance from the Russian side as well. So that's it basically.
Thank you. Lior? Is it the
yes.
answer?
Yeah, definitely. Thanks. Anna, do you want to go to the Israeli panelists or?
Yes, I think that we'd love to listen to Lisa.
Lisa, yeah, please, if you can put Lisa online. Lisa Shiloach Uzrad actually comes to the film industry from the television industry for many years. She had the July-August production company, which were in charge of many successful formats and also films like The Band's Visit and the award-winning A-Word TV series. And Lisa came a year ago to the Israel Film Fund, and she can tell us a little bit more about co-producing with Israel. Lisa?
Hi. Yep, hi. So first of all, I'd like to thank Evgenia and Anna for this wonderful initiative. It seems like years ago that we met in Berlin because the world has changed so much. And as you said, you know, we've never been more secluded, but somehow we're very much together. So thanks to technology, this is really a wonderful opportunity. I really think it's time to follow through this co-production opportunity between Israel and Russia, and I'm sure we can find a lot of wonderful projects to collaborate on. I personally wasn't part of creating the co-production agreement, but I did go over it, and I think it's fair and simple and quite clear-cut, and I'm really hoping that at our end it will be cleared quite quickly. I think there's a lot of room. You know, we are a small territory with relatively moderate or modest budget, but we have a lot of talent. There's a lot of talent in Israel, and there are so many wonderful projects that we can't support all of them. We at the Film Fund support between 10 and 15 films a year out of about 600 submissions. And I must admit that many of the projects that we can't give funding to are also wonderful projects, and we would love to be able to do more. So again, I think this is a great opportunity. And as your film showed, you know, once you decide to cultivate a certain area and support it, wonderful things happen and quite quickly. So I think the ground is set, and we just have to move forward on the bureaucratic side, and then we can let the artists talk. If you have any specific questions, I'd be happy to answer.
We had a row of questions which our producers wanted to address to you. So, Lior, can you ask some of them now?
Yeah, so you wanted to know a little bit about the sizes of projects that are in Israel, the amount of budgets and how they're constructed. Maybe, Lisa, you can tell them a little bit about the three main courses of support with the Israel Film Fund.
Sure. Well, as I said, we invest in approximately 10 to 15 films a year, and there's another fund, the Rabinovich Film Fund, which I think Yoav is here as well. He can tell you more about that. Our usual investment is about 500,000 euros, €500,000 for a project which is for an experienced filmmaker. And for a debut film, it's about half. It's about €250,000 per project. This is what the Film Fund invests in depending on who the creators are. But I think on average, it's about €500,000. And the average film budget for Israeli films ranges between, again, average between €1 to €1.5 million at our end, all in all.
Also, Anna, you wanted to know a little bit about the taste in Israel. I guess what would be popular or the genre. Give a little bit of the content.
Yeah, are there any preferences? So, are you more interested in investing in so-called commercial films, blockbuster films, or it's more of auteur cinema? So what are the vectors of fund's interest and focus?
Well, I think we always look for a film that has a wide range of virtues, which are, including originality and artistic vision, and it should be communicative, of course, and should move the audience. It's sort of combined. We have a combined overall view of a project. I don't think we can say that we're looking for a specific genre. Just as film is a complex art form, I think we look at it in that way. I think that the more popular genres, which are bound to bring an audience, or more likely to bring a wider audience, will usually find it easier to find private investors as well. And we are sometimes definitely on board of these as well, but we also feel that our part of our responsibility is to give a voice to a new film language, to new filmmakers, and perhaps projects that are a little bit riskier in that sense. So it's not a specific genre. It's sort of an overall view of the quality of the project.
Yeah, that's very clear. Thank you very much. And which languages should be in the film if it is co-production with Israel?
I think that gets a little bit tricky. I mean, generally for an Israeli film to be considered an Israeli film, there are a number of languages, which I discovered recently. One of them is Ladino. I'm still waiting for the film in Ladino that has never been submitted. It's supposed to be in Hebrew, Arabic. I'm talking about a majority of the language. But if the storyline sort of requires a different language, then that's definitely open, and we should not present a problem. We have produced films in many languages, in Georgian, in Russian, and in a whole variety of languages. So it really also it's also a reflection of what the story is and where it's told.
Okay, thank you very much. And the last question maybe I will ask, and we will later on ask the same question to Rabinovich from Fund. How many sessions has the fund during the year? So how many times during the year a producer or company have an opportunity to apply, or it's just once, or how it's organized?
We have at least 4 submissions a year, every 3 months. Not always in the same category. For experienced filmmakers, we have at least 2 a year. And then we also have 1 or 2 submissions per year for debut filmmakers. And we also have sort of a low budget, project, which we accept submissions as well. And once in a while, we'll have a specific submission, which is not one of the regular routes. But as I say, at least 4.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Sure,
thank you. Maybe we will just later ask some more questions because we really have a lot. But now let's move forward. And thank you very much, Lisa. It was really nice to have you with us right now.
Thank you.
And we have Yoav Abramovich online as well.
Yeah.
Hello. Hello, everybody. As for your question about the submission dates, our foundation has 3 a year, as per required by the Israeli Ministry of Culture. But recently there's been a talk about the possibility of changing it to 2 a year. But that's different dates and different than the Israel Film Fund. So Israeli producer today has 3 submissions in our foundation a year and another 3 or 4 at the Israel Film Fund. It's quite a lot of dates. And we usually give answers within 4 months. That's the general dates and times of our submissions. The way we support our films is very similar to the one described by the Israel Film Fund by Lisa, because it's by the rules dictated by the Israeli Ministry of Culture, which both funds follow. So generally, we work in the same idea, in the same way, with the same, again, generally sums of support. As for, you asked about the languages, I just wanted to add that it depends on the treaty that will be signed, which is finalized today. I guess it will be possible, from what I see from the drafts, that the film will be either in Hebrew or Arabic or in Russian. So it's flexible, and so that's a possibility. Another thing that I would like to add is the Rabinovich Foundation supports full-length dramatic feature films, just like the Israel Film Fund, but we also support documentaries. And it's possible to have co-productions also in documentaries, and we do have quite a lot of them with other countries during the year. Right now, we're just finishing one, for example, that I just can remember, that is a co-production with Austria, and it's also possible to have co-production documentaries. And a lot of stories, because of the connections between the cultures, there are a lot of stories which can relate both to Russia and to Israel in the documentary, as well as, of course, in full-length dramatic feature films. In documentaries, we usually support in the sum of 50,000 euros for a documentary film, not 400,000 or 500,000 euros, but 50. But again, it's a different kind of productions.
Thank you. And does somehow, is your support somehow related with the budget of the film itself? So is there any dependence from how much is the budget, how big is the budget, and then your support is bigger, or the budget is smaller and then support is more, or there is no reference?
It's usually the sum. If it's a very big production, we might have it a little higher than the usual, but it's more as a symbolic higher. I mean, if it's a very large production, we might, in a full-length feature film, support with 550,000 euros, and a documentary in 60,000 euros, but not a major leap in support. And below that, we tend not to support because of regulations of the Ministry of Culture, which set us into these minimum sums of support. So we usually go for the minimum sum of support that is defined by the Israeli Ministry of Culture. We have smaller sums for beginning filmmakers or for low-budget films, but co-productions usually don't go to those areas because it's much smaller budgets. But it is a possibility, technically.
Yeah, thank you very much. And one important question I was asked from our producers to clarify. If there are some people in the crew which already have Israeli citizenship, because it's very often here in Russia when people live in both countries. Is it somehow relevant to application? Is it important when you are viewing the documents, or that doesn't matter?
It depends on the final treaty. What we do is we take the treaty, see the definitions, and go by it. Some of the treaties go for citizenship, others go for residence. I think from what I read from the draft of this treaty that it goes by citizenship. So a citizen, Israeli citizen living and working in Russia could be regarded as an Israeli crew member for that support. But again, because it's only a draft, we'll have to see the finalized treaty and go by it. We're very flexible. What the treaty says, we do. I mean, that's
maybe we should just keep that in mind and put that in the treaty, because that would be really helpful. Thank you very much. Lior, do you want to ask some questions or?
Actually, I wanted to, we'll go back to Yoav, but I wanted to stream, maybe to have a short break and show the video clip, because we wanted to show you a few of the Israeli Russian-speaking talents that are working in our industry. So Igor, we have the first clip. It's by Leonid Demchenko. It's his short film from 2012, but it can give you a little bit of an overview of the sense of the community.
עלינו מברית המועצות כשהייתי בן 12.
Мы возвращаемся. Народный наших отцов.
אבא שלי מאוד התרגש, אמא שלי הייתה מאוד לחוצה, ודודה רוזה ישנה.
Мы в Израиле.
זה יכול להיות עוד סיפור הגירה רגיל. אבל אז, דודה רוזה נפטרה.
Не можем дать гражданство мертвому человеку. Она умерла, верни в Израиль.
אתה לא יכול להשאיר לי פה את הגופה ולהלך. Как такое в голову может прийти вообще?
Шмурик, אצלי.
Я из службы безопасности. Миш, выключи, пожалуйста, камеру.
So,
yeah, we saw many familiar things in this short video. Okay, so thank you. Yep.
And we have with us the producer Chaim Eckelberg that produced also Leonid's next film and has done a production services for a Russian production right now in a few months ago. So maybe if we can say a few words and tell him, ask him about his experience in working with the Russian market.
Okay.
He's online.
Okay, hello.
Hello.
Well, actually, it's not me, it's us that produced it. Leon Podolsky, we produced 3 films with. The last one we just finished shooting in Colombia just before the pandemic. It's an English-speaking, multinational production. We are also working with 4 other Russian-born directors. We just finished in the editing room with another film, Pinchas, also supported by Yoav's fund, both of them, which actually tells the story of him and his Russian-born single mother immigrant. And we worked here in Israel. We gave production services last year to a Pavel Lungin film with Xenia Rappaport and Yulia Parasild and Harvey Keitel, which was an interesting experience because it took us a little time to really get the culture gap a little, but apparently it came out a very successful production, and it looks like everybody was pretty happy. I think there's a lot of common between Israelis and the Russians, and if we do co-productions, there's so many Russian-speaking Israelis that it's really easy to man up a full production with almost a full production with Russian-speaking, because a lot of the Russians do not speak English. So we found it quite easy.
Thank you very much. That was nice to know. Lior?
Yeah, do you want to show the another clip, or do you want to go to Anton and in Kino and then we go back to it?
I think that we should go to Anton because that's very natural after we have heard so many information regarding Israeli film funds. This is the time we should know more about Russian ones. Anton, so I would like to ask you to tell us a little bit about the structure of the fund, the rules and regulations which are defining how one should apply, and is there any way of applying to your fund with co-production film?
Thank you, Anna. Hello, everybody. I will be short. Kinoprime is a private foundation, non-commercial foundation. And our main goal is to provide financial support for quality projects for talented people. Each project can claim up to 50% of production budget, but with a limit of $1.5 million approximately. We received about 250 applications, and 21 projects were selected for support. Included two co-production. The Criminal Man by Dmitry Mamulia is a Russian-Georgian project, and Shake Your Cares Away by Tom Cheval is a huge co-production of Israel, Russia, Germany, and even France. So we were open for co-production. We were open for international cooperation, and we are looking for quality projects from all over the world. Yeah, but with a Russian path, is it possible? Maybe with Russian director, or maybe Russian star, or even maybe Russian book or something. I think that's all.
Thank you very much. And the same question I have to you, because everyone has to know how often can one apply to your fund? Are there any certain dates, like in the Ministry of Culture or in Cinema Fund of Russia, or it's just spread of through a year?
No, we have 5 or 6 maybe expert consuls by the year. No, just...
It's very flexible then.
Yep.
Thank you very much. Lior, maybe you from your side have some questions from your producers to Anton. Should we clarify anything?
Well? Anna, can I add something as well?
Yeah, of course.
Just to follow what Anton just said, I want to say that the project that was last mentioned was also supported by the Ministry of Culture at the end of the 2019 as the minority support, which we started to give money for since the last year, and so this kind of slot is also open. I just want to mention it. And the average support for if it's not a debut, for the normal production is also around 500,000 euros that can be awarded, the maximum that can be awarded from the Ministry of Culture. So just to let you know that the ministry can also support not only the majority productions made by the Russian film directors, but as well as the minority from different countries, including the Israeli directors and Israeli majority productions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It was really important, and we want to know that. Lior, so?
Yeah. So I think that, again, from our side, it's very interesting, and to know we have the access of applying to the Anton's fund, the Kinoprime fund. And we're probably going to have questions from producers that are on the Zoom. We'll move forward, and then we'll get back to that. So please, if you have questions about submission, write it down on the chat, and we'll add it. Shall we go into the next segment, or if we can show another clip from an Israeli film that was just supported by the Israeli Film Fund. Lisa is online. By the way, Tom Chauval's film was also supported by the Israel Film Fund. It's part of the
I think we should watch the clip, and then we're moving to our small, but I hope that it will be really effective pitching session from Russian side.
Okay. So, Golden Voices.
Улыбнись.
Ваше место здесь.
Открываем новую страницу жизни.
ספר לנו, מה עשית היום?
Клём.
Хотя, конечно, с вашей профессией в Израиле...
Требуются женщины с приятным голосом на высокооплачиваемую работу.
את יודעת מה אנחנו עושות פה.
Певицу ищут. Того, что было, не изменишь. Раньше этого не осознавал.
Тут все делают терпение.
Жулик!
Чего?
Ты не поверишь, кто это.
רק אל תגלי לאנשים את הגיל שלך.
Мне 22 года, и я девственница. С вами все в порядке, Серж?
Да, спасибо.
Этот фильм сейчас идет во всех кинотеатрах Израиля.
Это легально?
Мы интеллигентные люди.
אנחנו אנשים אינטליגנטים. זאת אומרת, הם.
Каждый фильм — целый мир. Мы с тобой даем людям возможность посетить эти миры.
Ты даже не знаешь, как я выгляжу. Ты вообще не знаешь, кто я такая.
Имя, возраст, внешний вид – все это ерунда, суета-сует.
זה רק ביזנס.
Я хотела быть главной героиней, а я даже не второстепенный персонаж. Так. Голос за кадром.
So
it was a real pleasure. I would love to see the whole film, I have to say, because it was really funny.
So Yevgeny Roman, the director, is online. Just to say, he's working on his new TV show now, but he's moved from his casting. Is he online? Can we put him on just to say a few words? And this film will be released in Russia soon. So coming in theaters.
Then I will be looking forward to it, and maybe some producers from our side would be interested to get acquainted.
Yes. Evgeny, are you online?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you and see you.
Yes, hi, hello. I'm sorry I couldn't join the conversation earlier. So about the film, yes, as Leor said, the film was purchased by Volga Film for distribution. Unfortunately, because of all this corona situation, theatrical distribution is too risky business, so it will be only distributed VOD, TV, digitally. But, you know, I hope it will reach some audiences as well. And it will play in some Moscow Jewish Film Festival, I think, whenever it will happen. So yes, it would be very interesting actually to get some reactions from Russia, from audiences in Russia, because the film, as you I think saw from the trailer, is mostly Russian speaking, takes place in the early 90s. So I think a lot of Russian audience will recognize themselves also in it, even if they never been to Israel or never immigrated to Israel. And I'm not sure what stage your conversation is now, but from my personal perspective, I understood you're discussing a treaty that should be
we are
signed.
constantly discussing the treaty. It's like a red line going through the whole meeting. But now we're preparing for the pitch because you already shot your film, and here are the people who are hoping to do so. So thank you very much for joining us, and I will really wait for an opportunity to see the film like in its whole. Okay, so thank you very much, and thank you, Leor. And I think that we will start from the first pitch from the Russian side, and then, as I know, we have one from Israeli. So it will be one Russian film, one Israeli film, and two more coming from Russian side. And the first project I would like to invite here on stage, I would say in real life, it's Cookies from Grandpa, presented by Alexander Kessel. Are you with us, Sasha?
Anya, я здесь. I'm here.
Okay, so you're welcome.
Thank you. I'm pleased to stay on stage here. And thank you for inviting me. I would like to thank you and also the organizers of the event. Zhenya, thank you as well. For the beginning, I would probably ask Igor to put the show reel of our production studio. Can we?
Yes, we can.
Great.
Добрый день. Меня зовут Ариса.
Thank you for this. Our studio is for many years in producing series. We have one series landed as Russia's first Netflix original. Another one is available on Amazon Prime. And we keep producing series for both terrestrial broadcasters and also digital platforms, SVOD platforms that are now many in Russia. Some years ago, we stepped into producing full features. We have just finished our first one and about to shoot the second one. The first one will be hopefully premiered soon because we finished it just in February before the lockdown and we had to skip to film festivals. As for the Cookies from Grandpa, it's I would say the inside behind that is the spoken today issue of language, because it's the story of a big Jewish family that come together in Israel from all over the world, and let's say. The things that helped me to develop the story, to come up with that story, are the things that put all the Jews spread all over the world together. And the interesting thing that when one big mishpacha is together, they speak different languages, but everyone understands everyone. And that's only possible in a huge Jewish community of a contemporary world. So the story is about the family that comes to Israel to spread the ashes of their grandpa, who recently died before the beginning of the film, and he left the will. So according to his will, all the family has to come to the spot in Israel. The grandpa was not religious at all. He was not an Orthodox Jew or even close to that. However, he, despite the tradition, he wanted to be spread in Israel. So the story brings together the son of who is the main character, Mark. He is what in Israel they call Ole Hadash. So he spent already few years in Israel, and he thinks that he managed to get integrated into the community. However, when his mom comes with the ashes, and his sisters, and even his ex-wife comes from Germany with her new husband, who is German. So all this brings the family to a loud situation, loud conflict, which is very Jewish, I have to say, and it's all in a bitter comic tone, in a Jewish comic atmosphere, and after all, it's all about being together and being yourself at the same time. That is it. We plan to, we now in the last draft, so we making last changes to the script. It is nearly finished. I hope we will have opportunity for different languages to be accommodated in the story: Hebrew, Yiddish, German, French, Russian. We hope to have some French Jewish community of recent immigration as they are in Israel, so that we could apply for co-production with Europe. Germans are already in the story, Russian Jews, and of course Israeli Jews also in the story. The goal, I would like to direct the story myself. Yes, I am a producer, but I am also a director, so I hope to direct this full feature. And that is it. That's so far about the speech. Yes.
Thank you very much, Alex. I'm happy that we had an opportunity to listen to the speech, especially in live. And now I gave the floor to Lior, who wanted to present Gili, and maybe we even will have an opportunity to listen for some feedback on the first speech.
Thank you. Gili Gaon, which is the director of the documentary department at the Israeli broadcaster. Is she online? I think she is.
Yes.
Hey, Gili. So the Israeli Kan 11, it's a new channel, and it has a different philosophy, and we've been working on the international level. We just announced like a week ago that Tehran, big project from Kan 11 went to Apple TV. And you're in charge of the documentary. If you can tell us a little bit about how it works in the TV industry in Israel.
Okay, so hi to everyone, and thank you for inviting me. Kan is the home and base for creators of Israeli documentary. We offer documentary program made in Israel, and we have the largest budget in the country, over 10 million euros a year. In our documentary department now we're working on 29 films and 36 series. Every year we air like 90 hours of documentary, which is our 30% of our prime time. And we divided our films into a few categories. We have history, social, groundbreaking, and informative. This is how we divided them. And we believe that part of our mission is to tell the stories of parts of the society which are not usually being told and are not on prime time television, and usually not at all. We have a few projects about the Russian society in Israel, which most of them Russian language and not Hebrew. We made a film about Chernobyl by Roman Shemonov and Ronen Balzam, which was a big success here and very, very good. And now I know they're trying to sell it to other countries. We're working on a historical series about the Russian society because we think it's an important society which their story are not told before. It's like 3 or 4 chapters. We have 3 documentary feature films. Some of them are going to be in the Dokoviv Film Festival. And our biggest project we're working now called Bernstein, which is bigger than life. It's international, it's bold, and it's groundbreaking project. It's documentary and fiction together. And it's the same team that made Chernobyl, which I really adore. And I think they're doing great work, and I hope you will see some materials soon. And it's going to be one of our biggest projects for 2021. And this is some of our projects we're working on. In Cannes, we believe in digital first, so which means that all our projects go first to YouTube and Facebook, and sometimes for Instagram. We can geoblogs, so it can be open only in Israel or all over the world. For co-production, a lot of our projects have co-productions. The ones that are making the co-productions are the filmmakers and the producer, and they're telling us, after they made the deal, and usually, we take part, but we're not the ones that are doing the co-production. But we have many of them in our project. For films and projects that are from outside for Israel, we usually do a pre-buy, not a co-production. Also, we're always open to hear and to hear about new projects, and maybe something will happen. So thank you.
Thank you, Gili. We have a few, Igor, we have a few minutes from Bernstein. Can you show us?
Repeat, please, Leor.
The clip from Bernstein.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
Oh.
Okay.
Давай, давай, не шевелись. Тут еще одно, Игорь. Подожди, я буду тащить на себя. Опа. О, все. Стой. Так, подожди.
Смотрите на меня.
Как дела? חיובי. אני רוצה להחזיר לך את הסיפס שלך, כי לך אין דרך אחרת להקליט חוץ מסיפס, נכון? אז זה
Товарищ командир. Немцы взяли Лохвицу. Кольцо замкнулось. Как же Киев, товарищ командир? Отступать нам больше некуда. Всем занять позиции! Приготовить оружие! К бою!
Вокруг меня одни мертвецы. Страшно было.
So thank you.
Thank you for showing the clip, and I was thinking while watching that I really can't imagine any other country which is sharing that much of common history, common traumas, and that much to discuss and to talk about together. So I'm really happy that this conversation is happening now. And I think that it's very natural that we're moving to the project The Jew, which will be presented by Evgenia Gintelis, because it somehow continues the theme which was touched in this previous clip. Evgeny, can you please tell us a little bit about the project and present the company and the story?
Well, hello everybody. I'm very glad to be with so many colleagues and friends, and it's been our dream to organize this kind of event for many years, starting from the first roundtable that we had more than 10 years ago, the pioneer movie theater with Kateril Shore, who was then the head of the Israeli Cinema Fund. So thank you very much for organizing it and for having us. The Jew is a feature film that will be directed by Dmitry Fix, who is a very well-known Russian producer and director of feature films and TV series and music videos. It's a co-production of two Russian companies, which are very well established on the local market and internationally. It's the film company Profit, that is headed by Igor Tolstunov, and it's a Motor Film Studio, which is headed by Dmitry Fix. And I'm responsible for the international co-production of this film. And we are happy to announce that we've been joined by another friend of us, a very well-known French producer, Raphaël Berdugo, and his company Cité Films will be joining us as the first international partner. The project is already supported by the Ministry of Culture. It's supported by the Kinoprime Film Foundation. We're currently applying for support to CINEMATOGRAPHERS Foundation in France and to the TV channel Arte. Those documents has already been sent, and the project is under evaluation there. I think it's a good time now to see the video presentation of the project, and after that we'll make some comments on the story, and maybe Dmitry will also add some of his director's vision, and Igor will comment on it. Can we see the video presentation?
Zhenya, is this the right file? Didn't we have the video?
We need the video or the presentation?
I think we need the video. Let's
okay,
the video.
Okay,
yes.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay.
Let's switch the files, please.
Как нам кажется, абсолютно новый взгляд на одно из самых страшных явлений мировой истории 20 века – Холокост.
Наш фильм будет о том, что любовь открывает в человеке ощущение присутствия Бога. Даже люди нерелигиозные имеют генетическую память, которая позволяет почувствовать им связь всех событий и осознать себя частицей чего-то большего.
Что-то подобное сценарий «Еврей», может быть, 1 или 2 раза в жизни я читал. И по степени эмоционального воздействия, и по глубине содержания, и небанальности драматургического решения. И я до сих пор, когда говорю об этом, вспоминаю это ощущение. Я очень долго находился под впечатлением и в потрясении. Это вообще слово может передать это состояние.
Мы очень хотим, чтобы наша картина натолкнула зрителя на мысль, что прислушаться к себе как к божественному созданию, возможно, есть главный смысл человеческой жизни. Очень важно, что история главного героя вызывает противоречивые чувства. Лишь в самом финале становится понятно, что все это время перед нами был антигерой. Но имеем ли мы право судить и как поступили бы, если бы столкнулись с подобным испытанием? Ошибок прошлого невозможно исправить, но осознанное стремление сильного человека к искуплению на наших глазах превращает его из антигероя в героя.
Лишь в кульминации окончательно прояснится тема фильма и моментально перевернет зрительское восприятие от жанрового кино к пониманию, что этот фильм есть глубокое высказывание на очень-очень важные темы. То, что мы задумали, добавит в понимание этой страшной трагедии того мира, который позволил этому событию состояться, тем людям, которые вольно или невольно совершали это преступление.
Изобразительно мы будем всеми способами стремиться к достоверности. Мы хотим досконально проработать детали быта, одежды и речи того времени. Такой же подход необходим и к выбору актеров. Важно выбрать актеров так, чтобы не диктовать зрителю субъективного мнения отношения героя. Нам важно, чтобы зритель сам сделал выводы. И это позволит истории быть настоящей, сложной и неоднозначной.
Если нам удастся воплотить это так, как это написано, то это будет что-то невероятное. Что-то такое, как это ни банально прозвучит, чего еще никогда не было, и ни на что не похожее, ни с чем не сравнимое, то, на что через многие годы люди будут опираться как на некий нравственный ориентир или попытку диалога с самим собой, поиска ответов на какие-то сложные, самые мучающие, самые тяжелые вопросы.
Thank you, Igor, for the clip. Zhenya, will you add
Well,
something regarding this story?
I should add that due to obvious circumstances, the shooting of the film will take place next year in the summer of 2021, and it's planned to be shot in Rostov and also in Latvia. The locations has already been selected. We are still working on the financing structure of the film. Most of the budget is raised, but still we have some room for co-production, and we're obviously interested in partners from Israel, because we believe that this project has a lot of potential for the Israeli market, for Israeli theatrical distribution, and for Israeli broadcasters as well. So this is probably everything we have to say. I probably would like to add that it's really an incredible script that was written by our very good friend Ilya Rubinstein, who unfortunately died recently this spring, and we were all brought together to this project because of the quality of the script. It's really exceptional.
Great, thank you very much, Evgeny. And I hope that among our audience and our participants and speakers, there will be definitely your future partner. This is why we're here, and I really believe that this project should be done. So if there are any comments on the pitches, then we will be really happy to get them from the Israeli part. And meanwhile, when you are thinking maybe what you want to say or to add on, to comment on, we're moving to the last pitch we have. It's the project Nazi Hunters, and it will be presented by Nadia Zainchkovskaya from Premiere Studios. Nadia, you're more than welcome.
Hello, yes, I'm Nadia Zainchkovskaya, International Co-Production and Sale Executive in Premiere Studios, and I would like to present our project in development, Nazi Hunters. I wanted to add a few words again for my colleagues and Evgenia as a gratitude for this platform, because the quality of this meeting is exceptional. I have to admit, I'm not familiar with Israeli partners at all. You know, I will be very frank and upfront. That's why for me, it's extremely important to meet you all and to be able to address you directly. And again, thank you, colleagues. It's not easy to follow up after the previous project, because to be honest, I was personally even touched from the video that's been released, but I will try to gather my senses. So first of all, I would like you to get acquainted with Premiere Studio itself. And after that, I will walk you through the elements and details of our upcoming project. Igor, please start the first slide, which I will comment also at the studio. Premiere Studio is the Moscow-based production company. And I hope the slide will start, because I should be in sync with that. I'll just wait a second, because it does make sense to describe what's going on. Yes, we are under the umbrella of Gazprom Media Group, with a focus on both commercial genre and director-driven features, films, and premium high-concept series. Since the company foundation in 1980, in 2018, the strategic management is executed by the producers Valery Fedorovich and Evgeny Nikishov, who together were awarded TEFI Russian Television Prize in the category Television Producer of the Season in 2019. Our filmography, as you can see, includes the wide variety of genres in innovative formats. The reputation of the company is based on a lineup of feature films with solid local and international commercial results, as well as internationally awarded and high-ranking series. Please kindly roll our show reel. Thank you. Let's move on to the first slide of the presentation. So, Nazi Hunters is an 8-episode, multi-location spy action series that involves famous Adolf Eichmann case. The story unfolds in 1960s post-World War II world, electrified by constant confrontation of USSR and USA superpowers, with Israeli, Latin American, and German authorities, as well as Nazi underground organization, all pursuing all goals and forming short-term and risky alliances, since the end justifies the means. In the middle of this international espionage game of intellect, insidiousness, and speed is the fearless female protagonist, Anna Friedman, 35-year-old concentration camp survivor, Russian Jewish, who has to adopt her personal revenge plan into Mossad Nazi hunt mission, and most importantly, outplay all the parties involved to stay alive. Next slide. The story starts with Anna tracking down and persecuting former Auschwitz guards one by one in Europe. Her goal is to avenge her deceased family and survived sister, who could not cope with the atrocities of the camp and is now placed in institution for care. Anna is able to locate Viktor Konrad, 40-year-old German journalist and cameraman of a newspaper, who filmed the Nazis torturing prisoners in the camp. After the death of his wife, Viktor lives a quiet life with teenage daughter. He's not inclined to regret his past and considers himself a victim of circumstance. Anna's execution of Viktor falls through. Last-minute Mossad agent Aaron interferes. He offers Anna an opportunity to help catch much bigger target in South America, Adolf Eichmann, one of the architects of the Holocaust. Anna agrees. However, the offer is conditional to collaboration with Viktor, the only one capable to identify Eichmann. Aaron needs a neutral, trustworthy Anna, since unfortunately there is a mole in Mossad. During the Operation Argentina, Anna and Viktor learn that former Nazis are ready to fight back. They have created a secret organization led by war survivor Martin Bormann. The organization is preparing a number of terrorist attacks to set USSR and the United States against each other, with consequent start of World War III. Eichmann is captured, but Viktor and Anna are exposed. Now the two have to cooperate and leave the past behind in order to survive, work with Mossad and defeat Bormann. Mossad further operation in Latin America includes termination of following targets. Croatian Bishop Dragovic, who in 1945 had created the roots for Nazi disappearance in Latin America, Herbert Cukurs, who is known as the Butcher of Riga Ghetto, and Josip Mengele, the Doctor of Death, a famous physician known for his human tests who would manage to escape. Parallel to events in South America, the action unfolds in Israel, Moscow, and divided Berlin, involving Mossad, CIA, and KGB. Esther Harel, the head of Mossad, is hunting them all. First, the investigation leads to Shamir Davidson, the close friend of his set, but it turns out that Shamir is cooperating with KGB. Shamir is neutralized, but he still manages to pass USSR vital information from Mossad files. KGB sends the female agent to disclose Israeli operation and Latin American leaders' cooperation with ex-Nazis. Mossad learns about the ultimate goal of Nazis, creation of the nuclear weapon for Egypt targeted for Israel. Victor betrays Mossad and Anna for Nazis and later for CIA, all for the sake of the union with his daughter, who might get forever stuck behind the Berlin Wall. But at the end of the cat and mouse game, Victor nevertheless loses his daughter. Anna finds him destroyed and suicidal, ultimately disappointed in Nazi idea. She is ready to forgive him, but each side will have to pay a high price for the choices done. We are at script development stage right now with the first draft ready, and the project should be shot in multiple locations and should be multilingual. The idea is for the characters to speak their own languages and English. Therefore, we would like to co-develop and co-produce this project with Israeli partner and with international creative team and cast for global distribution. Thank you.
Thank you, Nadia. I hope that everyone who is supposed to drew their attention to the project is here. So hopefully we'll continue the conversation after the panel. Lisa, I hear, I got the message from Lior in our secret chat that Lisa can comment on project. So Lisa, you are more than welcome. It's very interesting to get your feedback.
Hi, yeah. Well, first of all, thank you everyone for all of these great presentations. The high production value is very impressive, and I think all of the projects are visually outstanding. I just want to say that, well, first of all, I think the topics of the three projects which you chose to bring to this meeting are definitely relevant for an Israeli audience, for our market. But for us, of course, as a film fund, to get on board, we have to have an Israeli producer behind the project or involved in the project. So I think that the most useful thing would be to send over these pitches and with contact details, of course, of the producers and creators, and have us send them to the Israeli Producers Union, for instance, and make sure that as many Israeli producers as possible get a chance to have a look at them and see if they would want to start some kind of discussion. From there, it could be taken, of course, they could approach the funds, they could approach the Israeli broadcasters, whether it's the public broadcaster that Gili represents or some of the commercial broadcasters in Israel. But I really think from a practical point of view that we only have a very small selection of producers here with us, and it's worthwhile to show it to a larger group.
Thank you very much, Lisa. It would be extremely helpful, and I think that it's absolutely what we hoped to get from this meeting. So I'm sure we will prepare the catalog, all the materials, and we will send them to you and to present the projects for your colleagues. So the problem is that we're running out of time. We didn't expect it to be so such a vivid conversation. We hoped for that, but didn't expect it to. So we have to ask to let the audience to ask the questions first of all. But we have here the animation company, which will also promise to present. And I have to apologize before the producer, in front of the producer of this company, because we really don't have an opportunity to get the proper presentation of the animation section of the industry. But I think that maybe we will just ask a few questions to Valeria Korotina, maybe in the middle of the questions from the audience. Valeria, I'm so sorry that we invited you and didn't have a chance to talk with you properly. So we will ask just a few questions which we see here in chat. Lior, do you want to go first, or should I translate the Russian?
The first question that was asked to Anton Malyshev is about how to submit. What would be the process, and how do we access? How producers can access the opportunities to submit to Kinoprime.
Could you repeat, please?
Yeah, how is the submission process from your end? It's open to producers from Israel. They just want to have more information about how do they access your fund.
Thank you, Larry. It's very simple. You just need to send an application of KinoprimeFoundation.com, and our experts will take it.
Take it from there.
Very simple process.
Okay. Anna, some questions from, I saw there's some question in Russian, which I don't understand.
Yeah, I will translate the question from Rock Studio company, which is a rather big and established company from Russia. And the question is, what are the circumstances, what are the rules of using the money coming from Israeli funds? Are there any like borders, or should they be used just on Israeli territory, or they can be like free of any difficulties of this kind? So are there any rules of using the money coming from Israel, which are got from Israeli Film Fund or Rabinovich Film Fund or other institutions? It's the question for Lisa or to Yoav, I think.
I will answer the question. The rules are very general, because we are not local regional funds, we are national funds, so it doesn't have to be like a minimum or over 100% expense in a region. So we usually, we generally work as national funds in other European countries, or I guess in Russia, that you know, with the bounds in the treaty. So the treaty usually says that as the percentage of the producer in the production is expected to go out in this in the country of that producer, but it's a loose rule, and it's we're flexible about it. So that's the general rule. Apart from that, again, in the percentage of the artists and technicians as well, is expected to be generally like the percentage of the finance. One important rule that I saw in another question is that we don't support both funds together, the same production. We only support a part. We're not allowed to do a parallel support in the same production. So you either go to the, you either receive support from the Israel Film Fund, or you receive support from the Rabinovich Foundation. You can't do it together. You can, of course, submit to both funds. And if you are very, very lucky to get positive answers from both funds, which is very rare, you can choose where to go, but you can't go with both funds.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And we have also the questions. Just a second, I will read it aloud. The question from Israel. Is there some funds or production companies in Russia that are interested in co-production with Israel for short films? I think this is a difficult question, and I can try to answer it myself, because there are several special agencies which are supporting short films from Russia, because in Russia, short films are mostly a kind of a visit card for young directors, and this is something you are shooting in order to get to the big industry. So it's very rare when the short films are made like huge projects in co-production or somehow. But I think that Russian producers and Russian companies are very much interested in finding Israeli talents. We discussed with Lior that in advance before the conference that the ideal combination, the ideal cooperation would be if there will be some Israeli creative people and our production companies and capacities. So if you have a bright idea of short film, you can send it to me, and we in our company, in Premieres Film Studios or somewhere else, we will try to support you and to find an opportunity to make your film done. Just a second, I'm trying to understand where are the other questions, because they're coming like from different sources. Lior, if you're ready to ask something, please go ahead.
Okay, then maybe somebody from the audience, or somebody who are here on the Zoom want to ask a question, just raise, and Igor, can you open the microphone so we can see people?
I think that Valeria Korotina should ask questions, right, because this is the only speaker who hadn't have word so far.
Yes, hello everyone, and thank you for having us here as the only representative of Russian animation industry. But Russian animation industry is really growing, and we do have several big companies who produce high quality content, which is very competitive globally. So I don't think we actually had cases in the whole history of Russian modern animation of co-productions with Israel. And definitely our company, Riki, which is one of the majors of the Russian animation industry, we didn't have any co-production with Israel. So I wonder if the funds which are presented here actually support animated films.
Lisa and Yoav?
Yes, we do. Right now, in production is a very large co-production that we are doing with Belgium and Holland for Ari Folman's new film. He's known for Waltz with Bashir. He's now doing a very loose adaptation of Anne Frank's diary, with also a modern story. So we do support it. And we'll be very, very thrilled to see co-productions with Russian animation. First of all, the quality of Russian animation is beyond the top, so it will be amazing to see such a co-production. And furthermore, from our experience, because of the high budgets of animation, inside the Israeli industry, we can't really support only by Israeli funds, so we need it. And we're very happy to see it take place.
So do you support only animated features, or would it be possible for TV series as well?
No, within the Israeli Film Foundation's funds, it's not possible to support TV series, but there is an Israeli TV industry that's not supported by the funds or doesn't receive such government support, which might be interested. There are also productions of Israeli animation series. We do support documentaries that have animations with them. We still don't have a total animation documentary, but we have had several animation documentaries that include animation in them. So it's also a possibility. I might add that also in Israel, it's a small market, but there's amazing talent in animation in Israel. I mean, Ari Folman is the most known, but he's certainly not the only Israeli animator. So it will be wonderful to see co-productions.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
Valeria, I hope that like it will be your condolence that you will go further and discuss all the projects directly with funds, and we will make everything we can to proceed this situation and this conversation.
Thank you.
Can I just
on the panel, we have Amit Gesilter, which is an animator. He has a studio of animation from Israel, and he's from the board of directors of the Israel Animation Association. The whole issue of animation, I think, requires a different panel. But Amit, if you want to add a few words about television, because I know you've been working on co-producing television,
So hi everyone. So as Leo mentioned, my name's Amit. I'm the owner of the animation studio, The Hive. We focus on the development of content, as mentioned by the funds. And the funding in Israel is mainly focused on the film, on features, and on short films and documentaries. But in recent years, there's a soaring in funding when it comes to animation. Recently, for example, one of the projects that Lisa's fund supported won the Canal Plus award at the Annecy, which was a short film that is going to be like a proof of concept for a feature. But on the series aspect, yes, there is a bit of limitations here in Israel when it comes to funding. But the Khan, for example, the broadcaster that Gili is leading is supporting series, so it is possible to raise some funding from that angle, and we've actually succeeded in raising some funding for a series of ours from them. And there are additional broadcasters that can support TV series, but again, it isn't possible without any co-production. So I would love to discuss that with you further.
Absolutely, that's good. Let's take it from here.
Let's talk. Brilliant.
Great. Lior?
Yeah, Lisa?
Yeah, I'll just add two short things. First of all, we also have 3 animation feature films in production supported by our fund. One of them has just been concluded after 8 years of work. So we're very excited to have it come out finally. And just another thing, we're all getting messages throughout this Zoom. So I just want to say that one of the duo producer couples who are online with us, Esti and Chaim Meckelberg, who we saw just a moment ago, just wrote to me that 2 of the projects that were shown here, were pitched here, are very interesting for them, and they would love to start a discussion. And they also have a production which should be shot in Siberia, and they're looking for Russian partners. So things are happening as we speak, and if you have time to bring them up again, they can discuss this, or we can make the contacts later.
Thank you very much. I think, of course, we should make the contacts later because it's almost 2 hours we're here, and I'm more than happy of the result and of how the conversation went on. I think that we promised to exchange the contacts between Russian producers and Israeli partners, and we are in contact with Lior about that. So I don't have any questions here in Zoom coming from the stream. And maybe we will wait like for a minute, but while I will ask maybe Evgenia Markova to wrap up, to sum up, to say just a few words about our future plans and just a few words of everything we've heard today.
Well, from my side, it's just once again gratitude to the Israeli Film Fund, Lior and Lisa, who basically did it together with us. We're very much looking for the co-production agreement because we're, as I mentioned before, strong believers of joint cooperation. We hope that during our next session, we will see more projects from Israel because there are really many producers who are looking forward to cooperating with Israel in all segments, as we discussed now, films, it can be also series, animation, and doc, and we're very open to that. And from our side, we will spread the information amongst the industry to make it really well known and get as much responses as possible. And yes, just thank you from this first step and looking forward to the next ones.
And I would like to thank all the Russian speakers, Anton Malyshev, Leonid Demchenko, who had left us, unfortunately, because he had a huge gathering in Ministry of Culture, and all the producers who agreed to present the projects and really sure that they will find partners and the audience in Israel. And I would like to pass the floor, the mic, the stage to Lior to conclude everything.
So thank you very much again, everyone. And this is again an initial conversation. I think that each segment deserves its own time and its own panel, and we'll continue doing it. Evgenia, what you said, since we talked about this panel, we've got 8 projects from Israeli producers that are in your database that are looking for partners in Russia. So it's there and available, and you can contact, and we should take this opportunity and to create this community between Israeli and Russian filmmakers, creators, producers, and move along and create things together. Thank you, Natalia Raz, from my side that helped me put up this panel, and Anna and Evgenia and Igor. And thank you all for attending, and hopefully we'll see you in person soon.
Very much hope to see everybody in person. I missed that opportunity so much. Thank you.
Israeli panelists, Lisa, Yoav, Gili, thank you all.
Thank you very much for being with us. Thank you and have a nice day. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.